Home now. World Breastfeeding Week is celebrated every year in the first week of August. It's aimed at encouraging breastfeeding and to improve the health of babies around the world. For more on this, I'm joined by breastfeeding advocate Shannon Simon. Shannon, thank you very much for your time this Sunday. I wanted to start off by asking, have perceptions around public breastfeeding changed in South Africa in the last 2 years?
I would say for the most part, it has. Compared to, say, even 5 or 10 years ago, the perception, not just perception, but the acceptance of public breastfeeding has been a lot better. Women still do get stares and maybe approach sometimes with unwelcome comments, but for the most part, women do feel a lot more free to breastfeed. That's certainly been my experience.
And our legislation, is that pro-breastfeeding in public? Are women allowed to breastfeed in public and in the workplace?
Well, within legislation, women are allowed to breastfeed on demand anywhere. Obviously, when it comes to the practicalities of it, that does make things rather difficult. Working women are allowed time to express breast milk within the workplace. They have a right to have a fridge where they can store their breast milk, but how and whether that gets implemented in different work environments is another story. There are some work environments that do make this possible for women. Others don't, either through ignorance or because that's just not seen as a priority.
Right. So breastfeeding is, we know, by far the best option. It results in healthier babies. It results in longer gaps between pregnancies. So if you look at the big picture, promoting exclusive breastfeeding up to 6 months reduces the burden on the public healthcare system. And yet South Africans continue to shun, chastise and even mock mothers who breastfeed in public. Why?
Well, I think it's largely to do with, one, the perception of breastfeeding and breast milk. So unless you understand and believe that breast milk is the most important and the best food for an infant, it'll be very difficult for you, one, to accept public breastfeeding, and also then to accept that a baby should be breastfed for the first, exclusively breastfed for the first 6 months. That said, though, again, when we place that burden of, breastfeed for, exclusively for 6 months solely on the mother, and especially working mothers, where they don't have 6 months maternity leave, it does become a bit unfair, and, mothers are placed in a very difficult position, because you know what you would like to do, you know what you should do scientifically, and what's good for your baby, what you'd like to do. But if a mother isn't enabled to, that does make things very, very, very difficult.
Right, so apart from ordinary South Africans being a little bit more accepting, being more enlightened, being more empathetic towards mothers, what can ordinary South Africans do? Can we assist mothers? Are there campaigns that we can get involved in?
Well, there are. Right now, the Sasquatch, which is an organization that lobbies on behalf of infants, women's and teens' health, is active in lobbying government and also lobbying business, the private sector, because while our national health department is very active in promoting breastfeeding, in enabling breastfeeding within the health environment and educating mothers, the workplace is a very different story. And as a worker, the relationship is not equitable between a worker and their employer. And it is very difficult for an individual employee, especially when they may be the only mother in that environment, to be able to make certain demands that are rightfully theirs of the employer. So it would be really lovely to have more private sector support for breastfeeding mothers. within home environments and also out in public. I mean, some businesses have made public statements about being very supportive of mothers who want to breastfeed, say in coffee shops or in malls, wherever it is that a mother needs to and wants to breastfeed, so either publicly or within rooms that are provided for mothers to breastfeed.
Thank you very much for that. Sorry, we have run out of time there, but we do appreciate your participation. Breastfeeding advocate Shannon Simon speaking to us there. And we spoke to some Joburgers to find out how they feel about breastfeeding in public.
Yes, they should, because people sit in the restaurants and eat publicly. So my child deserves to eat as well. So I need to feed my child, and I'm celebrating my womanhood. You know, when I breastfeed my child, I'm showing it off that I am a woman. I'm blessed with a child. So why must I restrict the rights of my child? It's her child.
Uhlazo kanjalo ukuthi umuntu omfazi akhiphe ibele phakathi kwabantu ungcona ahambe yohlala mhlambe endaweni engathi uyedwa nje khona bese ikhiphe ibele ke akunika umntwana asele.
Yes, they should be allowed to breastfeed in public. I mean, breastfeeding is the most natural thing you'd ever find. There's no issue at all. I think there should be a legislation that bans places to disallow women to breastfeed in public, because I know there are restaurants that won't allow women to do that. There are certain spaces that won't allow women to do that, and it's actually controlling women's bodies, and I don't think it's right.
I just feel like it's people that are ignorant. The government doesn't necessarily have to, make a whole campaign or awareness on it. People need to stop being ignorant and just realize that mothers are out there to take care of their children. If you are hungry as an individual, you are able to sit down and eat, or you're able to, eat whatever it is that you want to. So mothers should be able to do it.
Oh my goodness, no.
Disgusting.
I have, and I think it's an amazing thing. It's a family thing. And as long as it's in a good taste, it's absolutely beautiful.